Hi, I'm Marguerite, and this is Move to Tacoma, and I'm here today with my colleague, Lindsay. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're here today to talk about the areas beyond Gig Harbor. So Gig Harbor is over the bridge from Tacoma, and then there's all these communities out beyond. And I'm thinking Key Peninsula, Port Orchard. Can you tell that I have never lived over the bridge and don't know much about it, but you live in Ollala.
I do.
So-
and so far you're saying everything correctly.
Okay,
That's
good.
the first step. Got to start there.
So what do we know? What do we need to know about that area? Is it more expensive than Gig Harbor, less expensive than Gig Harbor? What kinds of properties can you get? What are the different communities like? Tell us everything.
All right, so Gig Harbor is typically thought of as the gateway to the Kitsap Peninsula. So it opens up a really wide area. And Gig Harbor has been kind of the first spot that people land because it is so close that you can get to Tacoma and Seattle really easily. And as people are able to move further out and access transportation through like ferries and other places, we're seeing a lot of growth expand out that way, and there's a lot of land available.
Oh.
So if you are looking for space and maybe a more rural, I said it, rural experience, you can definitely get that out there with mountain views and water views and space around you. So there's a lot to be had.
All right. So the first question I have, and I guess I just think this way, is like, what does it cost to live out there? So is it like, I mean, I know, of course, everyone knows, like, that's an area where you're going to find the $2.5 million waterfront house. But like, what is an approachable starter home going to cost you in the areas outside, the rural areas outside of Gig Harbor? So like maybe Key Peninsula, or you live in Ollala or in Port Orchard. What does that look like? What does the entry point look like?
So Gig Harbor median house price is around $750, and we've seen a lot of growth over the last few years, kind of like everybody. I think we're about 40% over the national average of home values.
Wow.
But you can definitely get more bang for your buck if you're willing to drive a little bit further. If you're willing to go, oh, the grocery store is about a half hour away from me. So if you're willing to make those concessions, or maybe you're not commuting for work to Tacoma or Seattle,
Right.
you can be out a little further. So areas like Key Peninsula, so you have another small bridge to contend with, so there's a little traffic consideration there. Port Orchard's a great spot. That area surprises me every time I'm out there because it is such a massive area. There's just so much land available and just space that people can grow into. And I see a lot of growth heading that direction in the next maybe 20 years. I think definitely as we get some other fast ferries and other ways to commute, that area becomes much more accessible, and people can really get great values. If you want space around you, if you want to have a small farm or horses or whatever that looks like, it's available. And in terms of like price difference, definitely you can get more affordable if you're willing to make that commute. But it's a real mixture where you can buy a manufactured home for $300,000 with some acreage around it, or you can buy a $2.5 million home on the water that's out on the peninsula.
Wow.
So there's a range.
That's amazing. That's a big difference. So for you, what are you seeing with your, like, if, for example, people who are relocating to the area? What areas do they seem most drawn to? What is your experience?
I think it's really interesting, actually, people who are not from the harbor, and that's how we say it. It's not maybe the nicest, but that's how it's said. That's what we do. So if you're not from the harbor and you're coming into the area, whether that's from Seattle or East Side or California or where people are coming from the area, it kind of depends what they're used to. I see a lot of people flocking to more dense housing that's kind of near shopping or other things, and people are comfortable with that, with real small property lines, but they want newer, larger homes. So there's that available. If you're willing to do a little bit more driving and explore and have a little bit more space, there's a lot of that available as well in terms of having larger lots, so average of like half acre or something like that, still within 15 minutes of city center of Gig Harbor. But I definitely see people who are newer to the area find that to be a bit of a hike, like to go out to Fox Island.
They want to start closer in.
They're
and
like,
then
one
see.
bridge is enough. I'm not sure I can do another one to some of our other areas.
That makes sense.
I definitely see a lot of that going on.
Oh, that's great. All right. So what is your key takeaway, your key piece of advice for someone who's considering Gig Harbor and the areas beyond and trying to make sense? Like, what do you usually tell people?
I think probably as you would shopping for any home, start with your why. Why is this area going to be right for you? Are you after the outdoor amenities? Do you want some space around you? Do you still need to drive to Seattle or Tacoma for work? And start from there. And then I think we can build what makes most sense for your search. Awesome. So whether that's dense housing or space around you, I think we've got all the things.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and explaining all that, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love to talk Gig Harbor.